Welcome to the CJ Murray Podcast. This is an exploration of music and growth on an intellectual, philosophical, and emotional basis. Today's guest is Thomas Molina. He's a high school band teacher who absolutely loves his students. And I think one of the best ways to summarize this episode is with his band room creed. We encourage, we laugh, we pray, we edify, we're a family. Music is about connection, and I admire people like Thomas that use it to invest in people, to love them. So thank you guys so much for listening. Please enjoy this conversation with Thomas Molina. Thomas, welcome to the podcast, the CJ Murray Podcast. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, bro. I'm like super excited to be here.
Okay, first question.
Time coming.
I love men. First question, what emotional element of music makes you the most glad the music is in your life?
I could go many different directions with this question. And I actually did think about it a lot whenever we had talked about it before. In general, I like to think that I'm a really happy and positive person. Here,
Yeah.
no, we're good. But one of the elements of all music, I think, is the element of joy, quite literally. And even then, obviously, it looks different in every single piece that you might be doing, playing, singing, thinking about, or and again, I'm a classical musician, so that's where like my mind goes first, right?
Right.
But even then, I don't know, there's just something that just happens inside you, inside your head, or even inside your heart whenever you're playing, performing, or literally just, I don't know, sitting at home, like just fooling around on like any instrument. It's just, I don't know, that spark of creativity and then like the element of happiness that you get from doing it. Like, cause it can be relaxing. It can be really enjoyable. You can work at it. Just the creative element that you get from the, I don't know, the onset of doing music, which honestly for me, again, brings just an element of joy to the whole curiosity behind it. So
Like the joy of accomplishment too.
yeah. Yeah. So literally like you're doing something that you've ever never done before, or like a light bulb moment whenever you're thinking, man, okay, this didn't make sense, but now it does. And now I understand a little bit more. And then you can move forward and therefore deepen your level of understanding. So that's literally what I would think. So
I love that. So then follow up, what would you say is the value of the other side of that coin? Like the sad music?
There is value in everything, quite literally. So I'm not even lying. So I mean, we have like happy music, we have sad music, but again, I wouldn't necessarily call it sad music, which some music is definitely sad. I'd say music that's a little bit more introspective, because music like that will serve different purposes, whether it's we're in the mood, we want to be in that type of mood, or even then like, I don't know, it just, there's, like I said, there's value in it because, I mean, we as human beings fluctuate a lot, right? We're very fickle, and music can be that same way. But even then, it just offers different perspectives that joyful or like super bright, happy music wouldn't necessarily give us, right? So it's really important to be able to look at it from both sides. So, yeah.
Okay. Was there a time where music came in clutch in either of those areas?
Yeah, in many different areas throughout the entirety of my life. So, like literally, I think of one right now in junior high. So in junior high, I got the opportunity to start playing my instrument. I started in band, and even then, that kind of opened the door to listening to big band. Right. So like, we're thinking Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman.
Yeah.
And that is music that I've thoroughly enjoyed. And even then after like a really hard day at school, or really hard day, at work or whatever, like the moment that I would put on any of that type of music, I'd like just completely switch my mood. It's really cool. So yeah.
I love that, man. So you teach music.
Yeah.
Like you said, you started band junior high. Went through high school all the way through college.
Yep.
So you teach music. When did you realize that you wanted to teach music or direct?
So again, that was it's a long story, and I'll tell the condensed version of it. So It started in junior high, like I said. Like I started with my band director in junior high, grabbed my instrument for the first time. He really invested in me, and there were many opportunities that I had to have one-on-ones with him, and literally just sitting in his office talking about like getting better, how I could get better. I was always a curious individual, so literally I loved just getting opportunities to do something different, right?
Yeah.
And again, I didn't think I would do band. I absolutely loved band though. And then it was, I think, my sophomore year of high school. I got the chance to take a music theory course. And again, I'm a very analytical mind when it comes to music.
So music theory is where it's at?
Yeah, straight up. So I absolutely love it. But I took that with my absolute best friend in high school, and he's still my best friend now. I took it with him. It was a sophomore level music theory class, and that literally like blew my mind with how just interesting, how nitty gritty music could be, right? And then at that point in time, I also started playing in church orchestra, right? So literally getting the opportunity to serve the Lord with what I'd been given. I didn't even think that I could use my trombone playing like in church for a very, very long time until I got that opportunity, right?
Cool.
And that opportunity obviously came from my band director because he was the director of the church orchestra. So that's the way it worked.
Yeah.
And then literally all the way through high school, I played. And then it was the beginning of my junior year. We were at a Christmas cantata rehearsal. I literally remember not struggling with what the Lord wanted me to do with my life, but I just remember being kind of confused, kind of lost as to what I should do because my parents were telling me one thing, I was wanting to do other things. And even then, music was like the best part of my entire day. And then we were sitting in a rehearsal, and I distinctly remember just an overwhelming peace. I literally sat there with my instrument and looked around at everything that was going on. So choirs behind me, orchestras around me, I'm watching my director conduct. And at that point in time, I literally thought, Lord, is this what you want me to do? And then from that moment on, I just kept asking the Lord just to open up opportunities for me to be able to serve him through music. And he did. Yeah. And my junior year, second semester, the Lord officially called me to be a musician and to be a music teacher. So,
I love that.
So that's the origin story.
Okay. I want to ask you, when you feel that the Lord called you, to you, when you say the Lord called you your junior year, what did that solidification look like for you?
So right off the bat, the way that it worked out, there were many different influences by way of teachers that invested in me. And again, I got a lot of love from a lot of fantastic individuals at my Christian school, right? But the one that stood out the most was my band director for many different reasons. And with him, the one-on-ones, I got to see not only how much he loved what he did, I got to see how much he loved his students, how much he loved me and cared about me and cared about my own future, and more importantly, cared about my walk with the Lord. And even then, beyond that, what his walk with the Lord looked like, because he lived it every single day. So literally, with him being one of the greatest examples of what Christ-like love looks like, what Christ-like service looks like, I think that was one of the things that the Lord allowed me to fully realize at that point in my junior year, whenever we had the Christmas cantata rehearsal. So that is something that the Lord kind of allowed me to realize. And then I looked at myself and thought, man, that looks like it could be so much fun. And even then, whenever the Lord put that on my heart, it literally was it wasn't like super, super easy to know that he was calling me that way. But even then it was, I pray that I can be that type of example to my future students. And then that's where it all took off from there. So
there's so many things about that I love. It's, I mean, it's awesome that something that you enjoyed so much or had a passion for is also a big means by which people connect. I mean, that's how he connected with you. And as you said, you saw God's love, you saw Christ's love, and it just makes me want to park on that for a little bit, because God is love and music is something that you see in the Bible. And when what was it? There's a psalm that says that God sings over you. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like
not
there's
necessarily.
no.
Not. But I mean, I kind of understand where you're going with the whole thing. But I mean,
We're gonna put that as I think it's around there somewhere.
Okay.
So,
it sounds like it would come from something.
yeah, but yeah, it's just awesome that God would take your passion and it's a means of showing Christ's love to people, and I just love that so much. So then you teach now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can you think of moments where you've already had that opportunity where
Yeah.
where this was a moment when I could show Christ's love to a student?
So growing up, like I'm just gonna backtrack just a little bit because I mean this leads into the story, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, I was fortunate and very, very, very blessed that I had numerous teachers, my band director included, that would literally just tell their students, hey, like, I love you. I care about you. I'm praying for you. And again, that did a lot. And I didn't realize how good I had it until I went to college, right? And even then, like, my college professors are fantastic, but like coming from the environment that I did was fantastic.
Yeah.
And now getting to provide that type of environment for my kiddos is one of the most fulfilling and rewarding things. And even then, like, it's fulfilling as an individual, but it's also fulfilling as a Christian, knowing that the kiddos know that I love them more than anything, that the Lord loves them, right? So with teaching and with the opportunities that I have now, all of my kiddos know that I love them very, very much. And again, I make it a point to tell my students, at least whenever I see them during their lessons, because we view lessons sometimes as, all right, this is a solid 30 minutes of music. Well, I mean, you can look at it as that, or a divine appointment to, and just let the kiddo know that you're there for them, you love them,
Whatever
the Lord
they
loves
need.
them. Yeah, that's my phrase.
Your core purpose is they need to learn music. That's why.
That's why they're there. That's what they're paying for.
But
right?
at the same time, I totally get that. I've throughout my life, there's been times where you show up somewhere to learn, and your just head is not in the game. You know, something's going on in life. You've been sleep deprived for whatever reason, drama in personal life.
Yep.
And no, my vocal teacher, he was the exact same way. He'd always make it a point to be like, hey, like, what do you need prayer about?
Yeah.
And really park on that, and not just take a request as saying like, okay, I'll pray for, when he would do that at times, but at the same time, it would also be, oh, well, do you want to talk about that more? Do you want to, is there anything else going on? And even if you take half or a quarter of a lesson just to go over that, it sets the tone not just for that lesson, but also for future lessons.
No, quite literally. And even then, we talk about like the lesson portion. Again, some lessons, like, they're all lessons, which is great, but some are more life lessons as opposed to music lessons. Some are lessons in, all right, what is the Lord doing in your life? How can I help you? And even then, one of my choice phrases that some of my students make fun of me for is, if you need anything in the world, let me know. Because again, like, I have an open door policy, and my kiddos know that. That's what I had in high school. And if we can create that same type of environment, my wife and I, for our students, that's like the best thing to advance the kingdom for the Lord. So, yeah.
I love that.
That's our ministry. So,
how would you say the fulfillment that you feel investing that way compares to performing? Because you spend so much time honing in your craft. Yes, you have a passion to teach, but also there's the passion for music, performing. What's it like being on stage as opposed to directing people on stage?
So I like to think that the opportunities that I've had to be a performer and a conductor work hand in hand.
Really?
Because to be able to be a really, really good director and even a great teacher, you have to have been taught well to like understand, right? Like what makes a great teacher? One that can communicate well, one that cares about you, right? One that is passionate about their craft and their subject.
Yeah.
So I literally thought that is one of the most important things that I can do as a musician first, and then as a conductor, right? And even then, I think performance is an essential part of just all musicianship, whether you're a conductor, whether you're a performer, again, as a musician, that's something that we do, right? But again, the difference is, I'd say, if you're performing, performing solo, you're all by yourself, with maybe with a pianist, or maybe like you're doing a vocal solo, you're still with a pianist. Or if you're performing with a group, it's like, all right, we're all working together to make this happen, right?
Yeah.
But as a conductor, the opportunity, this is the way I view it, we have an opportunity to watch our kiddos or watch the group grow and enjoy what they do. And our role is a little bit different because we're not the ones that making, like the conductor, me, I'm not the one that's physically making any sound, right?
Yeah.
The goal for me is to be a facilitator, right?
Yeah.
To be able to create every opportunity I can to get as much musicality out of them, and even then to empower them, Lord willing, to empower them to be able to play to the best of their ability, or sing
Yeah.
to the best of their ability, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't want to do things that aren't excellent. We don't want to do things not excellently, because there was a quote that I read forever ago from one of my high school teachers that literally said something along the lines of, it's a sin to do less than your best. And even then, like, we want to do the best we possibly can, because again, the Lord deserves it. So, yeah.
And we
That was
know
a lot.
no, you're good. And we know that there's a spectrum to what people are willing to invest in music. There's the people that want to go to school at Juilliard,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like there are people that just give their lives to it. And I mean, like, we know, like, we're married, and it's like there's a balance to it, and you got to take a step back and think, okay, what's life really about?
Exactly.
You know, life is about people, and your craft can be about people.
Exactly.
But at the same time, there's a much inner circle that could be completely detached from music, and that is the important people in your life that you have to invest in.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, I heard a really great illustration regarding crystal balls or crystal plates, right? Like, you're literally juggling all these things in your life, and the plates that you don't want to break are like your time with your family, like your relationship with your wife, and literally, if everything else were to fall, those are the things that are super, super important. So, like, your walk with the Lord, and the other things like work, like just other relationships, like, obviously they're really, really good to have and really, really important to juggle.
Yeah.
But like, your most important ones are like the most important ones. So keeping the main thing, the main thing.
Yeah.
So, and then like that phrase, the main thing, all throughout, like, teaching, whatever we do, like, are we keeping the Lord first? Are we keeping the Lord first in our music making? Are we keeping the Lord first in our own, like, regular lives, right? So, yeah.
So let's take a tangent. A theme in a lot of what we talked about that I've really gotten the sense of is just being vulnerable. And this has come up in a lot of the other episodes.
Yeah.
I guess I like the topic a lot.
Yeah.
But
that's a good thing.
music is such an interesting platform where you're especially vulnerable. Because, it's a lesson you're growing, right? And I mean, there's all kinds of things that people take lessons for, they grow. But it's not just growth, it's growth in playing something that's emotional. And you pick it for a reason. Like, if you pick a song to learn that brings you joy, but then you can't do it, it's awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in that situation a couple times.
Yeah. Or you have a joyful spirit, but you want to communicate a message that has an empathetic sadness to it. And when you're working with a student and you're both workshopping that, it's like, hey, let me take something that you love and help you not stink at it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like you can show up and maybe not do the greatest, but just by showing up, it shows that you love it and you're willing to learn to learn. Yeah. What are your thoughts on any of that?
I agree with you. So again, I tell all of my students, or the majority of my students, the biggest thing regarding getting better is just showing up, right? Like going to the gym, you literally, what's the first thing you do?
Show
you
up.
just gotta go to the gym, right? And then actually working out, actually practicing is a different thing, but you've got to have the drive to be able to do so. And even then, the sometimes scary thing with all of that is kind of the element of the unknown. But I feel like that is kind of necessary, right? So, like, I'm generally like a very, very happy person, and I love music that's like super, super bright, super, super energetic, powerful, that communicates, which is great.
Yeah.
And if I did music that was all like that, that's very not like one-sided, but there's just no variety, right? So it really, really helps to be able to do things that you're not comfortable with, right? And even then, I tell my students, my phrase is usually hug the cactus and the cactus will make you better, right? So like if you're uncomfortable for a little bit, something good will come out of it. But again, you've got to be willing to be uncomfortable first, right? So
Yeah.
so that's kind of
Yeah.
my idea with that. So
That's a great segue into the next question I have. What does improvement look like for you nowadays?
now, so again, like I said, being uncomfortable.
Okay.
So it's a very, very broad umbrella of things that we could talk about here. But again,
Yeah.
if I'm thinking specifically, like, are you thinking as like a person, like a musician, or like me as in my role as a conductor? What are your thoughts? Or just in general?
Let's do role as a person.
Okay. What is improvement away from music? Question mark? Or
Let's
just
do away from music.
Okay, so
Curious where it'll go.
yeah. Like what does improvement look like for me away from music? Honestly, I could say the same thing, being uncomfortable. And even then, creating or finding new ways to, I don't know, to be able to express myself, to be able to, I don't know, like the way that I view it is, as a person, if I want to be better, I've got to be able to be uncomfortable because again,
Yeah.
nothing good ever comes out of your comfort zone. So that's the way I view it. And again, I tend to be a go-getter
Yeah.
a lot of the time. And then
Yeah.
that's just my vibe, my friend group's vibe. And again, like we have been people, I have been a person to never want to stay stagnant. I always want to be growing, right? So it just, to me, it looks like taking new opportunities to be able to grow, not being afraid to fail, and then also just being able to be willing to do to be out of my comfort zone, right? So
Can I ask you
Yeah.
a hard question?
yeah, go for it.
What's a time when you failed and you really learned your lesson?
Whew. Okay, let me be honest with you. There are many different ones that I could tell you right now. Do you want music or non-music related?
Let's do music.
Okay, music related. I should have listened. And again, this is one of my finer tales of Thomas in high school. I thought it would be the coolest thing on the planet if I got up there and played a trombone solo, right?
Cool.
Without having practiced a lick, because I was like, all right, this is cool. I like know it. I can play it. I can sight read it. So I got up there and it was in the middle of a church service, CJ. It was really, 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 really bad. And even then, like, it's bad whenever like you feel like garbage going on stage and you're like, oh,
what's gonna happen.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I've played it through once. And it was okay, right? But I mean, like, it was really, really bad. I gave my music to my pianist, like, literally the day before. Had not run through it with her, and then, like, got up there and did it. But, like, with any church service, like, everybody's going to be thankful for the music. But, like, whenever, like, this is just one of my biggest, like, you should have known better, Thomas, type of ideas, right? So, literally, I got off stage. And, like, I don't get nervous in front of people in terms of playing, in terms of being on stage, because that's just something that I do a lot, and I'm super, super comfortable on stage. But like getting off, I literally thought, okay, that went. But one of my dear friends came up to me and like he literally goes, that piece was really, really hard, wasn't it? And I thought, man, other people noticed that it was bad. So that's one in terms of like just a lack of preparation, and I learned hardcore.
Yeah.
Let me try to think of another one. In terms of just like absolute straight up failure. Let's see. Music related. Again, there are like too many that I could name. I could literally, again, either not practicing or doing something that was too hard for me in the moment. A lot of many different things. So
Let's pull this out of it.
Yeah.
That's what has made you a good teacher. You can
I mean,
relate.
yeah, again,
I mean, you work in your craft. You're in the comfort zone. You're growing. You know, you go through college. So, we recognize that. But at the same time, I think part of what makes a good teacher is you can put yourself in your students' shoes. And part of why you want them to work hard is because you don't want them to feel what you felt, to go through what you went through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's one of the things, like all these memories are coming back to my mind right now. One of the things that I absolutely love about like the lessons that I have with my students I've been in their shoes, right? Like I understand where they are in high school. And I mean, that will probably change over the years. But I mean, like at one point I was in high school. I made some not so great decisions. I was dumb for a little bit, right? Because I mean, like everybody has that opportunity to just have fun in high school, right?
High school, man.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, being able to take the experiences that I've had in terms of failure, in terms of a bad decision, in terms of consequences that I've received, and either prevent that or help to prevent that in a student's life, or even say, hey, I mean, that wasn't a great decision. What were you thinking, right?
Yeah.
Or like just being able to prevent that, like that is where, I mean, the really, really good opportunities for investment come, right? So like letting the kiddo know that you care about them, but also letting them know like, hey, you're not afraid to have a hard conversation with them before or after something has happened, right?
Yeah. I would like to take this opportunity and talk about my piano teacher going through junior high and high school, Matt Riley, MattRileymusic.com.
Oh, hey.
Just a plug.
Plug. Love it.
So I guess part of my backstory, I took piano lessons 3rd grade, 4th grade, hated it, quit. And then things were said in my family up until like end of 6th grade. And so I took piano back up. Not with the best feelings, but I took it back up.
Yeah.
And my mom heard about a piano teacher from the church right down the street.
Yeah.
So we went there, and he's probably one of the best pianists that I know. And like we go to a college that also offers masters. We have some great pianists, but what made him good was he was so well-rounded.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, could sight read a lot. I mean, not like an inbred sight reader.
Yeah.
Inbred what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, he's not an innate sight reader or any of that, but I would sit down for some lessons and be like, hey, so what do you want to work on today? Do you want to learn some jazz? Do you want to learn a pop song by ear? You know, do you want to work on your classical song?
That's pretty sweet, yeah.
We can work on a hymn or arrangement. You know, he workshopped a hymn medley that he helped me write. There's just such a span of genres and scales and kinds of scales, and it was just a lot of stuff. But one of my favorite things that he would do is I would improvise something, and that's what opened up music to me. I never knew what it even meant to improvise before that, but he said, hey, here's these chords, you put this stuff around and you can do stuff. And I would do something, and he would be really encouraging and say, hey, that was really cool. Do you want to see what I can do with it?
That's awesome.
So I would step aside, and he would sit down, and he would just take it to the next level. Or he would say, hey, do that again. Just go up an octave, and then I'll be in the bottom octave, and I'll just do my own thing. And it was incredible because he took something that I had made, and then he just took it up so many more levels playing with me. And it just makes you feel valued as a student.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, so many moments after that happened, he would look at me and say, yeah, you could do that. I mean, you just got to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could totally do that.
Yep.
And it was just so eye level about it. And I think a good teacher knows how to obviously keep that superior skill hierarchy, but at the same time, it's like we are both humans.
Yeah.
We are both Christians. We both want excellence. We're just at different places.
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of that, he also had a music studio, and that's how I got into this whole thing.
That's awesome.
Is we would have
super cool.
we'd have a piano lesson, and afterwards he would say, "Hey, do you want to come see what I'm working on in the studio?" And he would bring me up, and then again, anything he showed me, he would look at me and say, "Yeah, you could do that."
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love that. Literally, just everything that you just said, literally, like in my mind tells me you had a teacher who knew how to speak to you and your interests, and had a teacher who was encouraging but also empowering. Like he literally made you think and believe that you could do better, you could like improve, and you obviously have. So yeah, that's fantastic. That's awesome.
And it shows me just the potential of investing in people because, oh man, you never know if you're going to start someone's journey.
Exactly. Thank you. Literally, like all music aside, that is literally what I feel our ministry should be. Like loving others, loving people, loving people the way Christ loved people, right?
Yeah.
And even then, like I said, all music away. The purpose of us doing what we do is to be able to reach others for Christ, right? And again,
Yeah.
music is one of the most beautiful ways that we can do that. But again, away from it, that should be our life's mission, right? To love others,
Yeah.
to love the Lord, right? So yeah, love that. Good deal.
Man. Okay.
We've talked about quite a lot already.
We have, and I love it, man. This
That
has
is
been
good.
fantastic. Okay. What do you, maybe this is redundant. What do you look forward to most in your music career?
Oh, okay. Many different things I could say here, whether it could be like pursuing a new degree, finishing another degree. More than anything, I am super excited just to see how the Lord blesses the ministry that my wife and I have created together.
Awesome.
Even then, one of the things that we talked about in our wedding vows to each other was our prayer to be used of the Lord mightily together, more so than we were individual, right? And even then, like the fact that we both get to work together, and she teaches high school choir, does piano lessons, I do band lessons, voice lessons, things like that. But again, getting to see just the sea of students in our teaching tree, right? So like this is year number 3, where we've been investing over at the school that we're teaching at. But again, getting to see how the Lord works in the time that we're there. And again, like that's just seeing how the Lord will expand our ministry little by little. So yeah.
What moment do you think could be on the horizon where like more than ever it hits you that this is awesome?
Whew. There have been many. Again, I have so many different stories. It's crazy. I'll just give you an example of one that I'm hoping happens a lot more often, whether it's here at the high school that we're both teaching at or at the college in the future. There was a moment this past concert that we had where I was conducting the orchestra. I was conducting them, and my wife was conducting the choir at the exact same time. So I was literally conducting the kiddos, and everybody knows Mr. Mo absolutely loves his kids. I absolutely love every single one of the kiddos that I get to work with every single day. And then I got to turn around, and literally she's like right behind me doing the exact same thing to the kiddos that she absolutely loves getting to work with. And we were both doing the same thing together. And I'm hoping that there are going to be many more opportunities for the two of us to see many students serve the Lord through music, but also to make incredible music together, right? As we continue to grow together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a good reminder for me and even you is what are we praying specifically that's giving God even more, not tools to work with, but I mean, sometimes you have not because you ask not.
Yeah.
And it's like even asking God, hey, God, there's these moments where we know this is like the best thing when you use us like this. Give us those moments. On top of that, what out there do we not know exists that's even better than that?
Yeah.
You can prepare us for that. Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things too. One of the things that my wife and I will often pray is, Lord, give us the opportunities that you would want us to have now. And then prepares for the opportunities that you were going to prepare for us later, right? And even then, just being willing to let the Lord move. And even then, I like to, whenever I talk to my students about this, I like to picture an open hand. And again, if you have something in your hand and you love it a lot, you're going to want to like crush it or like hold it really, really tight. But that's not what the Lord wants, right? The Lord wants the open hand so he can take what's in your hand and either multiply it or take it away and give you something better. Right. So that's just something that, I don't know, we've been thinking about. That's kind of our vibe, our ministry. And again, not that we like don't want to be attached to it. We obviously love everything that we're doing. But again, more importantly, we got to keep the main thing. We do what we do for Christ. So
Love that. What's been a specific answered prayer?
A specific, there have been many. Again, I feel like that's been my response to like everything. But a specific answer to prayer regarding our ministry together. I prayed for a very, very long time that my wife would get the opportunity to work with high schoolers, right? And even then, for a very long time, she had literally grown up in choir. She had a fantastic choral director whenever she was in high school. The Lord had already answered the prayer for us to be able to work in the same place. And then
Cool.
2 jobs opened up at like the most perfect time, which
Oh,
was great.
dude, that's
and it was
awesome.
fantastic.
I love that.
Literally at the end of our undergrads, we were both asked to teach at this high school, which is great. And it's an opportunity unheard of for how young we were and how young we still are, right? But even then, a really, really big answer to prayer was for her to get to work with our high school choir. And again, that's something that she was thinking about, that she think it would be really, really cool. And even then, the fact that the Lord allowed that to happen after what was, I think, honestly, 2 years of prayer. Like just having the Lord open that door. It's been super sweet because again, like we get to go to work together, and even then we get to invest in the same kiddos together, which is great. So
it's like you guys get to see the results of each other's ministries firsthand. That is really rare.
Yeah, we literally thank the Lord every single day for it, for where we are. We know our situation is kind of rare, and again, like we have literally been blessed by every single opportunity that the Lord has allowed us to have. But again, like sometimes we literally sit and think like, man, this is our life. This is our job. This is what we get to do day in and day out. Like literally love on kiddos and make music, right?
That's awesome.
And teach them how to make good music, right? And teach them that music is of the Lord and we should be using it to praise him and give it back to him daily, right? So again, in many different opportunities that have arisen for us to be able to do things together. And then like to be able to, again, watch each other's ministries unfold before
fantastic.
each other's eyes. So
Okay, so last question on the podcast, and I'm going to paint a picture in your mind.
Okay.
So imagine that this is the beginning of a movie.
Great.
Okay, and there's some kid, high schooler, that's about to embark on a journey. And along comes a wizard.
You're going to make me cry.
And you have to sell the pitch of the journey to this young person. How would you sell the pitch of the journey of music to someone?
You ask really good questions. Okay. If I were to do that, if I were to sell the pitch, I don't know. Are you thinking like, okay, hold on.
Like, what could they expect? If someone was considering learning music, and learning an instrument, getting into a band, getting into a choir, and you had to paint the picture in their mind of what life could be if they do that.
I think I would have to say, you literally have me thinking. I literally could say so many different things right now. I think my approach would be one of, hey, like, hey. Hey, what's up? This could be one of the greatest things that you ever do, and you will not regret a second of it. It's really hard to like maybe think of like 2 words, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I think, right? So like, you'll never regret it. You really won't. If anything, you'll be looking back if you don't, and you'll think, man, I wish I did.
Yeah.
But why would you say that? Or why would you want to say that when you can say, man, I'm really glad I had the opportunity to and took it while I could. So yeah, that's kind of my vibe right now. It might not be as direct as maybe you were thinking, but like I'm a very wordy person. No. So, but I mean, that's just kind of my thought right now. Like if you do it, you will enjoy it and you will not regret it.
It changed your life.
It did. Quite literally. It changed. Yeah. Many different opportunities to like life-changing opportunities have come either from music or at least where music was involved. Right. And again, that just happens to be like one of the biggest things for you and I, right? Yeah. Literally like our best musical moments have quite literally been life altering. Yeah. Again, all the way from like high school.
That's true.
Even to like, I don't know, the moment that we both got married, literally my wife came down the aisle to one of our favorite classical pieces ever. Yeah. And even that, it was just so, I mean, again, it's a life-changing moment. Like my wife was literally walking down the aisle the day that we got married. It was awesome. So again, like it's always present. So, I mean, if you're involved in it, like I said, you'll never regret it. Dude. Or you could literally call it, I don't know, like your musical moment or like your moment. I don't know.
Music is such a vulnerable thing,
Mhm.
and it taps into who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
But when those most fulfilling moments come through music,
Mm-hmm.
it reaches really deep.
Quite literally.
It resonates.
And again, and like
Resonates.
as a conductor, like I think as a conductor and as a classical musician, because that's just the way I've been trained and that's what I do. But again, like those musical moments for me, and this is where the teacher side of me coming out as well,
Yeah.
watching your students succeed. And literally there's one moment I distinctly remember. We were in concert, like the entire orchestra sitting and playing. I just put my hands down and let them play and literally just sat there and enjoyed
Just
it.
enjoyed it.
Yep. Because again, literally like try
Yeah.
to make eye contact with every single one of my students in that setting, because again, literally like they're enjoying it and the Lord is working in everything that we did.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's literally like, man, this moment is fantastic. Like, and you just sit there and like just get out of the way and enjoy the product, right? So those have been some of my favorite musical moments too. So, yeah,
I love that.
it's super powerful. And I mean, even thinking about it, like I'm almost getting goosebumps just because I don't know, like the moment where you can let go and truly say, they're doing it.
They're doing it.
And they're literally, and like, it's really, really nice to be able to have just the littlest influence on the kiddos whenever they're playing. Cause like, I don't know, like you can say, I helped them do that. And the Lord allowed me to have that opportunity. Right.
And even
So,
just confidence. A lot
Yeah.
of times, like for example, junior high school,
mhm,
I mean, teens are figuring out who they are.
mhm,
They're not confident.
mhm.
You know, their looks are changing, trying to
Yeah.
fit in. You know, people are nervous. And
Yeah.
if you can get someone confident with just one thing
Mhm.
and just really use that to show them, hey, you have value.
Mhm.
You bring something to this table.
Mhm.
And if you can't hold on to anything else, you can hold on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many music groups that, you know, they walk away feeling like a family.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
that's literally
Yeah.
the entire vibe. I literally tell every single person on the planet whenever I teach, like, yeah, these are my band kiddos. I mean,
Yeah.
this, like, you can call us a band, it's great, but honestly, we're a family, we're a team, we do everything together, right? And again,
that.
they know that we above our chalkboard in our band room, we have what I like to call our band room creed. So like there are like 5 different things. We encourage, we laugh, we pray, we edify, and at the very, very bottom it says we are a family, because that's what we are.
We
right? And
encourage,
again-
we laugh, we pray, we edify. We're a family.
Mhm. And even then, that's one of the just essential things about band at where we are, where like the way I
Yeah.
teach, we do things together because we enjoy doing things together, right? And we
you-
enjoy
yeah.
the process of making the music together, right? And we enjoy
Absolutely.
it, right? So,
And
yeah.
plus, I mean, I can only imagine there are teens that, I mean, hardly have a family,
Mhm.
you know, and I can imagine if you come from a broken home, if there's abuse, if there's anything,
Mhm.
but to come to a place where the teacher can say, I love you.
Yeah.
And maybe they haven't
Mhm.
heard that, you know,
Mhm.
to have someone willing to laugh, willing to pray.
Yep.
Yeah.
I literally tell so many different people. Obviously, I love to teach anybody, literally,
Yeah.
but like, I think the ones who teach me the most are the students that teach me the most, and the students that sometimes are the hardest to invest in.
Huh.
Truly showcase what the Lord can do in a life through like the weekly divine appointment that I have with them, right? So
Yeah.
like at what other position would I get one-on-one time
Yeah.
with a student for 30 minutes weekly,
Yeah.
right? And even then, the students who just have rough backgrounds, the students who are struggling, like
Yeah.
bring them to the music department, and then
Yeah.
let's see what the Lord does with them, and let's see
love
what
that.
music does with them in their lives, right?
I love
Again,
that.
because again, like I said, music is not a neutral thing. It's never been a neutral thing. It will never be a neutral thing. But again, that's why it's super, super important to use music to be able to edify others and to glorify the Lord. So
Sweet.
that's literally like the encapsulation of my ministry and what I view our ministry is as.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thomas, thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
I gave you a lot, but
This was awesome,
like, it's
man.
been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, dude, it's been a blast. We'll have to have you on years from now to see what insights have been corroborated
Yeah.
from being in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Little
love
by
that,
little.
man.
So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. It'll be good.
Guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Hardy, hardy.